This is Internet Marketing.
Hello, Kelvin Newman here, and welcome to the Internet Marketing Podcast. We've got a slightly different change of format coming up over the next few weeks. Recently, we had the Brighton SEO event, and one of the popular elements of the program there are panel discussions, where we get groups of people together to have live discussions around interesting topics around search and more broadly digital marketing. So we've decided to take a few of those panels and use them as episodes for the Internet Marketing Podcast, so you can get a bit of a sense of what those panels are like at Brighton SEO. So yeah, we've got one of those coming up. I hope you really enjoy it.
Welcome to the link building panel. We are here to talk about link building, and if you think about it, I think there's a lot to talk about when it comes to link building. I'll introduce our lovely panelists. So we've got Olivia. Olivia is Digital PR Manager at Bring Digital. She's got over 6 years experience in PR industry, working with well-known Manchester agencies and with B2C as well as B2B brands. And her true passion is to identify new tactics to secure top-tier coverage. Welcome, Olivia. Round of applause. Then we've got Bence on my left. He's Director of Content Marketing in BuzzStream. Previously 6 years experience at content marketing agency Siege Media and also at homebuyer.com before joining BuzzStream. Welcome, Bence.
Thank you.
And then we welcoming also Dixon, who is the CEO at InLinks, which is SEO technology which creates and optimizes internal links on your site. And he's also global ambassador of Majestic, and a very, very interesting topic. He has started doing SEO in 1996. That is
So much easier then.
brilliant. So very, very quick reminder to everyone: you will be able to ask questions. We'll do a couple of topics, then questions, another few topics and questions. So please do save all your questions and get the best questions you can, because we've got amazing people joining the panel today. Right, so let's get into this. I think it'd be really interesting to talk about link building tactics, what we like, what we don't like, anything that's new, anything that's working, not working. I think, Vince, you mentioned helpful content update where we talked about this topic.
I think kind of the discussion I wanted to really have with this was just how things have changed with helpful content. And, the helpful content update has been coming out since 2022. And I think personally, it's kind of changed how link builders should be looking at a lot of sites. There's people out there that sell you links, these huge, you get these spreadsheets where it's just like a spreadsheet of guest posting sites or whatever. And I'm not saying, buying links is risk. It's a whole other topic, but, I think you need to really evaluate where you're getting your links from in a different way. And to me, the helpful content thing is really just Google's way of kind of edging out some of these more spammy tactics, like doing whatever they can to to fight back. And it's just feeling more and more like digital PR is probably where the link building industry is going to start moving towards, because it's the one thing that can't be really manipulated in a way that these other tactics can, I'd say.
You hope so.
Well, yeah, for now. Yeah, but curious what you all think.
Yeah, I think content is my very, very favorite when it comes to link building. Creating content that helps when it comes to being able to send it to publications or any sites or website owners that is relevant to you, and obviously that gets nice links. I think very good and high quality links maybe that you don't get through other tactics. I'm very big fan of proactive and reactive outreach, where it's focusing on trying to get there first before you need it, with speaking with journalists and experts' comments, and really kind of getting into using your brand or the clients that you work with to get in front of the media and get some really cool links. And Olivia, what do you think?
Yeah, so I do agree with you there. And I also think, like, we suffered a national pandemic, like we had a massive lockdown, and that really changed the way that media worked. Obviously, we know that there's been mass redundancies, most notably Reach PLC. So it's changed the way I think we approach journalists. And I think that kind of like relationship building has massively increased. So building that black book of contacts to be able to go and target, I think has massively increased, I would say, over the past few years.
Yeah. If you're a friend of Neil Shaw from Reach PLC.
Everyone loves Neil Shaw. If you don't know who Neil Shaw is, Google.
Brilliant. I think that's one that, complete. I think pandemic has done a lot when it comes to, unfortunately, when it comes to journalism and publications, where you can see that they're moving on to trying to get content out quicker and perhaps cheaper.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, sometimes what we don't always realise or we forget is that journalists are being spread across multiple desks. So they don't have the luxury of time. So we almost have to make their jobs easier. So having that relationship and just having that insight, we can then build content and pitch emails that are going to suit them. So I think just spending a little bit of extra time going to journalists, like building that relationship, can really, really help.
Yeah, send them a gift card at Christmas.
Yeah.
£20 so you're not bribing anyone. Dix, what do you think about your favourite tactics?
So I think that people underestimate, I'll just change it a little bit, the importance of link context. And so that's not just what's in the anchor text. I'll do that loads of times, I'm sure. I can't see it. Eyesight's gone. It's not just about the anchor text on the page, on that page, but the text around where that link is and what it's trying to say, topic wise, and also what the title of that page is, or the H tag at the top of the page, I think is important. So I'm sure somebody will ask a question about Gary saying something in Sofia last week. I was there, so I can try and remember exactly what he did say. But he did say, yes, we do pay attention to context. We want to make sure that the source of the link and the target of the link has some relationship to each other. He wasn't. That's about as much as he explained, because that's Gary for you. But yeah, I would say that SEOs underestimate the importance of context.
And I mean, I think you can get that too with, that's kind of what I was getting at with, these spreadsheets and like kind of the low quality spammy sites out there. It's like you talk to so many sites out there that don't really, they just know that they're buying links. They need to get links. So like, that's the easiest way to do it. They don't really pay as much attention to the context. It's just, here's a link insert or something I'm going to do. And like, yeah, if you're not paying attention to how it fits into the broader context of the site, the page, you're not really providing any value at all.
No, I think it's quite clear that Google just discounts most of that straight out of the box, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite rightly too, I suppose.
So talking about what's working, what's not working, I think that buying links, we shouldn't do that. That should be not working 2024. But what do you think that's hot at the moment? That's working for that's digital PR link building.
Okay, so buying links. I get going out and buying links is a bad thing, but I'm happy to pay for my listing on Crunchbase. I'm happy to pay for my listing on Capterra or whatever. And I do think that a lot of these directories that are out there are valid ways of giving signals to Google, and no one would argue about paying 20 quid for a listing in Crunchbase, for example. So I think the whole buying links thing is a little, well, it's very interesting. Don't go and buy links. But I do think that if you've got directories that are pertinent to your industry and to your brand, then yeah, you should be in them. And if that involves a fee, then fine. I'm just using that to defend buying links for a second. I know.
I think, from
it.
a content perspective, and what we're sending to journalists, I think data and insights have massively increased. TikTok we all see it, we've all heard about it. But anything where we can show the journalists that we've got the data there to say, this is interesting, people are talking about it, it gives them that sort of emotional trigger to cover it, essentially. So that's what I feel, in my experience, has been working over the past few years.
Yeah, I think that the end game is there with the content, with the data-led content, is that you adding to a conversation and you're sharing something that they can share with their readers and they know it adds value to the article. Yeah, absolutely. Anything that you think not working?
Oh, that's a tough one. No, I'd say mass outreach from our perspective. Like, not that it doesn't work, but I feel like now, just going back to my previous point, having that more personalised tactical approach is working so much better than maybe doing a blast outreach. I would feel, but I don't think that is working as well as it used to. So that more personalised approach, I think, is what I would say is hot in 2024.
Yeah. You can't wait for what's going to stick, right? It's
They use that awful saying, you've probably heard it if you work in PR, spray and pray. Awful saying.
I think it's relationships with the press so important. I think I always say that in digital PR, outreach, PR, whatever part of PR it is the most ignored, because you don't get any replies. You send so many emails and no one gets back to you.
Or you get an aggressive message going, why have you contacted me? This is awful.
Yeah, or tweet, just to make sure that it gets out there, and
just to humble you.
Yeah, just to get on nerves. Brilliant. I think that's really good. I think it would be good to move on to maybe reporting on links, and what is it that we pass on to our clients? How do we report? How we should report? Maybe what should we add to report? When it comes to, of course, we all know it, where's my 10 links at the end of the month? So what can we do? What can we add to add a value to that report? It's not just 10 links, but this is the whole picture. I'll pass it on to you, Olivia, because that was your topic that you wanted to discuss as well.
Yeah, I think one of the difficulties we have as PRs is being able to demonstrate the value our work has to clients. The amount of times that you might have a client turn around and go, I just want a link on the Mail Online, or I just want a brand mention. That's all I want. That's all I want. And as soon as they get that, they're happy. And then they're like, okay, what else am I going to get? So in our reports, we really get the opportunity to report on the impact our links have had, and that gives us that vital opportunity to be able to report that to clients. So for us, we want to be able to show, okay, has our links had an impact on keyword rankings? How much traffic have we generated to the website? Have we had a return on investment? Can we prove that? And even just going beyond that, like share of voice, social listening tools, how our sort of campaign has gone beyond the media. Having that all in a report, I think, just shows the value our work has. So that is what I would say that we include in reports, and why a report is so important.
Yeah, brilliant. Bence, you've got a lot of report options when it goes to BuzzFeed. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say one of the more recent aha moments I've had is just the quality versus quantity thing. Like, I kind of went into an analysis using, it was Ahrefs just released this new, they call it best links around the same time, and it's essentially just looks at the links that you get, the site traffic, amount of traffic it's getting, organic traffic, and then also the domain rating. So I went through and just started looking at these sites where it was oh, this looks like a great link, but ultimately when you put it through some of those, or this is a great asset because it has 100 links or something. It's a great website because it has this huge background profile of 10,000 links. But when you go through and actually look for the quality links, it's something 60% of them are gone. And so I do think there is something to the way that Google also looks at links, and I mean, John Mueller has said as much, where well, what's more important, the quality or the quantity? Should I go out and build 1 million links or something? And he said, no, you could get one link from a very highly relevant site, and we might value that more than a million links that you got from somewhere else. So I do think there is more and more, again, like this is becoming my thesis, is like more and more value that they're pushing on just like getting away from just like this mass link building, getting away from just building links just to build links, and like this number of like hitting 10 links. I mean, that's great and all, but like if 9 of them are just total crap, and we're not providing any value. So I mean, gets to what you're saying, Olivia, like provide the traffic value, provide, how it's actually impacting rankings, and yeah, I just, there's too much focus on quantity of links, and you could take down any of those like link building posts, I feel like, LinkedIn posts that people post about, I just got 1,000 links for this campaign, and if you dig into it, it's like,
oh yeah, I know you always dig, don't you? You always have a look, you go, no, you didn't. No,
totally agree. I think that's okay. I am biased, but that's why I think citation flow is such an important metric, because it's a very close approximation to the original PageRank algorithm, and you can see that 1 million links with no value is not worth the same as a link with a citation flow of 20, 30 in Majestic. And it's, the maths is incredible, and they're crawling 1.6 billion pages a day, so they kind of have a pretty good map of the thing. So I think citation flow is a proxy for PageRank is a very useful thing to tell the client, so that they've got some idea of that. But I think the other thing that if I was on the unfortunate side of being where you are, where you have to do the link building, then I think telling the story behind the link is probably as good a thing as you could qualitatively do. Why is that link important? Who was, how important is the writer of that article that wrote that thing in the first place? Or, or why is that page an important page on that website? And the story as to why that's good for your business is probably as good as any way of explaining things. It may not be just a spreadsheet answer, but I think that would be a nice thing for a client to understand and feel that there's a bit more to a link than just a link. But most of my stuff is internal linking, so it's a wholly different kind of
still very, very important.
Yeah, well, so there you can sit there and show, the missed opportunities. If you're doing a link audit, you sit there and show, well, yeah, you'd already hard-coded 1,700 internal links in your content, or 17 internal links, and there's, 300, 400, 500 here that you missed that you could put in, and all of the links on your website that are going to dead pages on your website and stuff like that. That's a fairly basic, obvious thing to do, I think.
Yeah. Then Dixon, I think like that internal linking is like probably one of the most forgotten things in digital PR.
Yeah, it's weird because it's bloody easy, really.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you not do that? Because a page is a page, and the fact that it's in your control, obviously that's, you can only carry on, don't create another 1 million pages just to link and hope that that's going to be 1 million links worth, that won't really work. But yeah, this internal linking can really sculpt an understanding for a search engine as to where the authority is for a particular topic on your website. So it'll reduce cannibalization. And people say, well, the perfect structure of a site would be to have, one section on, and I don't know if it's a DIY site, one section on power tools, one section on paint, one section on screws and stuff like that. But then you start writing a blog article that's about, setting a new front door, and it's talking about paint, and it's talking about screws, and it's talking about drills and electric stuff, and so you need to be able to have that context going through the site, and internal linking does that very effectively.
Absolutely. I think just going back to reporting as well, just adding personally, what I really like looking at is also readership of the sites. I really started digging in, of course, the volume when it comes to readers, but the media packs. So are we looking at the right publications? Is it, if you're targeting campaign about women, do actually women read that publication? If we're targeting Generation Z, is it actually reading that publication? And I find them, and I'm really boring, I find it fascinating, but it's my Friday now, going through media packs when it comes to publications. But it really helps if you also understand is when you reach out and say, well, it's relevant to you because this is targeting women age 35 plus, and your audience is women age 35 plus, and that really gets there. But That's just one thing that for
In digital PR, do you find it's just about the link, or is it about the citation and the mention of the brand? It's just as important.
As important, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's difficult sometimes where's my 10 links, but, you try to put that forward and then really explain and, sometimes educate perhaps what's important to look at. Like Ben said, 10 links, 9 of them are shit, it's what's that going to give you rather than.
And we are starting to see, I think, a massive increase in the follow, no follow. Like a lot more no follow links are happening. So even just a brand mention, I think, when you're reporting, that's still got benefit. Yes, it might not have the authority as a follow link from a top tier media site, but having a brand mention, it still signals to Google that, okay, it's trustworthy, so it still has that benefit. But yeah, I am starting to see a massive more.
I always thought that no follow was a stupid standard for Google to try and bring in, because the only people they're going to start no following links are SEOs that understand what they're doing. They're just going to scan all the good ones,
It's like putting your medias together, so all just follow links, kind of ticking the boxes of when it comes to publications to target.
Yeah. To your point, too, like with it's like a popular thing. I feel like in SEO, it's like if Google was gone, would your links still matter, right? So like knowing the readership of a site that you've gotten links from, like if Google didn't care about links at all, would you still be getting relevant traffic to your site? And that's like 100% what you're saying. It's like, that's why it's so important to match the outreach with your audience.
And sometimes it is that it's not, the Daily Mail or the massive publication. I mean, they still, the biggest one, unfortunately, but you get the niche, very, very niche publications that may have lower numbers when it comes to DADR, citation, because whatever you look at, but it's so super relevant to the brand or client that you work for, you work with. So it's just the, DIY, and there's so many niche publications that are small, but that traffic has got massive value. That's the ROI really.
Yeah, and regional media sites also I don't think should be forgotten. There's loads of them out there with really strong high domain authorities, and they've still got that relevancy. So if you are doing outreach, like, do check those sites out. They're really good ones to get links in, and most of them, not all of them, do offer follow links as well. So definitely one to bear in mind.
Absolutely.
Especially in the US.
Yeah.
If you know how to do international outreach, it's Hannah's talk earlier.
Absolutely. We ran a campaign. We got link in Forbes, which brought 800 unique visits, and then link in Manchester Evening News, which is 120,000. And it was Manchester brand, so it's so. They were like, Forbes, yeah, great, but Manchester Evening News, get in. Almost crashed the website. I think it'd be really good to jump into questions. If anyone's got questions to ask, I'm sure Ben, there we go, one at the front, please.
So you got to wait for a microphone now.
Yeah.
If we can have questions that's far apart each time,
Yeah.
because it's good for exercise.
There's a hand show.
Oh, is it a second?
There we go.
Cheers. Cheers, guys. You did sort of touch on it already, but I just want to touch on it again because it's particularly pertinent to our sort of business. Follow versus no follow. Just to your point, I mean, we work in a really sort of competitive industry. And luckily we've got a lot of linkable assets. So we're getting like 150 to 250 PR links per month from media. And I would say it's probably now 70, 80% no follow. And obviously you've got big budgets involved in that on our side.
Can you tell us the industry?
Gambling. Boo. But yeah, so do you think that's a concern? You would probably put that on me and say, is that impacting your traffic? We've got lots of like holes in our technical strategy, etc. So it's obviously fairly plateaued. It's hard to tie back to links. But yeah, it's a big concern for me. So I was keen to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I suppose in that instance, it depends what the client deems as successful. If it's follow links and that's what the follow links are, then yeah, there could be a potential there for there to be a slight crisis, but I think you need to take it beyond that. So if you're still getting the brand mentions, like compare it to, there was a really interesting talk before about reporting and looking at like if other competitors have been mentioned in that article, if you're the only brand mentioned, look at social listening data, go further than just looking at that follow link. But I think it's all about that, going to the client, what they deem as successful, and maybe having that re-education with them just to say it's still valuable. And yeah, I say that as an industry as a whole, we are starting to see a lot more no-follow links.
Luckily, we're in-house, so we're the clients. So we're quite happy to say, exactly, and just to Dixon's point as well, I think the around, is it worth having no follow from like a Google point of view? We often have like
so every Wikipedia link is no follow. How many people wouldn't have a Wikipedia link? When you're in the gambling end of the world, I can't answer your question. I don't know the answer to your question. In a normal face of things, sorry, smash them all up.
I'll move it.
I'm more than happy to have a no follow links. I think that Google has devalued the no follow signal to a reasonable extent. It takes it now. Well, their stated opinion is it's a suggestion, not a fact. So Google is already discounting most of the links anyway. I think that this decision as to whether to discount a link because it's no follow is probably no different to whether the context is correct or incorrect or whatever. So I wouldn't worry if I wasn't in gambling or porn. But if I'm in gambling or porn, I'm afraid you're going to have to ask somebody else.
I think with the, I guess that you touched on that, is there the traffic? Is it still coming through? I would look at whether the no-follow are going to all industries or if they're just doing that because they're in gambling. It can, and just speak to them, we've done it before, can that be changed? Is there a reason? Just dig into the side. Are they doing that to everyone else?
Oh yeah, I think it's dangerous because we often get 2 links from, let's say, The Sun. Bad rag, but good link. I'm sure you probably agree. But like one will be no followed and one will be followed. Yeah. So it's down to the individual journalist, which is a bit of a concern because they're making the decision to do it, which is quite interesting. It's not a platform. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
It's the same with Daily Mail. It's news desk and journalists when it comes to follow, no follow. Thank you.
It's probably how much beer you bought.
Gift cards.
I have a question regarding the reporting part.
Okay.
So when you're in a team like that, there's ongoing SEO on site, like updates all the time, and you're also doing links. How can you kind of prove that maybe if there is improvement in rankings or in traffic, that it's from a links perspective, not because there was a new blog or, I want that shout out.
No, I think it is tricky. Obviously, if you're working closely with the SEO team and you are on board with them and you know what they're doing and you're managing expectations with the client and say, okay, what they're doing. I think it's a shame. I mean, they might disagree, but I did like the old Google Analytics. Now GA4's come in and it's made things so much harder. But if it goes back to the original Google Analytics, like using that and being able to delve into links and how much traffic that generated from that link, ROI, things like that, I would focus on that. But I think merging it together and showing how the two can work really well is also a really good benefit. But shout about it on calls and be like, I got this amazing link, and keep it at the forefront of a client's mind as well. But yeah, merging them together is still really good to show the benefit, I would say.
Thank you.
No thanks.
Have you got any other questions? Yeah.
I have a question about link buying, and in particular, during outreach, we often get packages from websites who are offering, we are not going to link to you for free, but here is our media package and here's the price. And when you look at those websites, it seems that they are, so-called content farms, like all of their articles are basically link.
So I offer those people my affiliate program. And then they can link to me on my affiliate link and get some income if they produce some income. I just delete those. I don't go anywhere near them.
Yeah, but the thing that seems, very odd to us is that a lot of times, a lot of those websites, and they're not even very pretty or very nice, they have pretty good metrics, like Majestic, for example, minimum 20, sometimes 25, and we are wondering how do they manage to hack it?
Page level. Never look at metrics at a site level. Forbes links may be great until you find out that there's a whole load of user-generated crap at the bottom of the pile, and they're not so good. And it's the same on, the biggest sites in the world. They've got this user-generated content bit that, that doesn't count at all, really. And you can see with larger websites as well, a sort of hierarchy in their link structure, in their page structure. If you do a site colon for that site, say Forbes, I might have got this wrong, but I did a presentation on it several years ago. That site starts with some specific, major pieces of work, their pages, and then their video pages are actually much more better indexed than the next set of pages down. And then you can see more or less the kind of structure bits. And if you don't get your link reasonably high up, then it's probably a page that's so buried in the site that it doesn't really count so much. So I always look at when you can look at flow metrics or Hrefs or SEMrush or anybody else, but look at it at the page level. I would, not at the domain level.
Okay. Is there anyone else that'd like to ask a question? Oh, sorry, it's already sorted.
Hi guys. I think one problem we can have with digital PR, especially agency side, is especially when you have a good relationship with a certain journalist at a certain publication, is just getting a link for a client in that same publication time and time again. And I think it's becoming more and more important to kind of diversify your backlink profile for a client, especially these days. So I was just thinking if any of you had any advice of how to do that and how to try and gain a link in potentially new publications and new domains that you haven't managed to break through previously.
That's the game, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, after a while, I think you just have to start. It comes at the ideation stage, right? Like, what industry are you in? Generally.
Oh, it's a hard one. B2C and B2B across. We're an agency.
Okay. Well, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, right. So it kind of really depends on how far away you want to get, right? Like, and I think as the further away you get from your central focus, the less valuable the links become, right? Because it's that relevancy thing. And I like to think of it still like with the internal linking thing, Dixon, and like to your question too, like how can you provide value and like know if a link matters? Like if you think of it from the like what value is providing for my site, like tied to a keyword, tied to a product page, and then you're getting links to potentially like an asset on your page, but if that asset then links to your product page, like there's that direct flow that you're generating. So if you get further away from that kind of direct flow to like a product or core offering, it's going to be less valuable because it's not going to be as relevant. But you can get a couple steps, but it's that, and that's to me at least the only way that you can really get out of that like repeat. But I think there is value in having. It might not be the same link value, but you get eyeballs on the page. Like if it is super relevant, like get as many as you can from whatever Daily Mail or something. If it's sending traffic to your site, that's great, right?
So you're not going to cover about 10 BBC links every month, are you? Yeah. But I think what I really like doing to expand on kind of journalists and publications that to reach out to is, I mentioned proactive outreach. It's just to go out there and introduce the client, offer them, tell them what's upcoming when it comes to your campaigns, topics that you're working on, any feedback about the topics that you're working on, and just try to engage with the journalist almost without the content. So offering as an expert, as any awareness coming up day that you can say, oh, this day you have got internal trends or data, just kind of a nice, almost like, hi, I've got this is what I've got, will that be useful? And with the proactive outreach, we tested it and we did that for clients, sending out these proactive emails to relevant journalists that we never spoke to before, and 63% replied. So it is the one it expands that kind of, yes, I'm not asking you to publish my press release or my content, or, I'm not sending you to my website, I'm offering you what I've got. We've tried that with one client, we've tried that with a list of clients, and it does work magic.
I was going to say, and also go beyond maybe a media database for sourcing contacts, like use Twitter or X or LinkedIn. If you've not had a chance to see it yet, the Muckrack did their State of Journalism report, and 90% of journalists are using Twitter. So use it, see if you can find new and top tier journalists and do that investigation stage and ask them, like Hannah said, introduce your client, but also ask them, you're going to do follow link, you're not going to do follow link. Maybe not that brass. Maybe not that brass.
Click on tweet.
Just a little tweak.
I'd also ask you to reverse that thought process, because getting the same link on a link on the same website all the time actually is sometimes, as Vince mentioned, a really good idea, because WordPress is a really good example. When somebody puts something on a blog, at the start, it's linked to from the homepage of the blog. It's there, it's obvious, it's got a high page rank, high citation flow, but after time, that gets off the homepage and it's lost, and then literally the value of that link will drop off with time. So a constant engagement with a trusted source is a good thing, and your client should be delighted that you're continually getting new content on there that's valuable.
Thank you.
Got any other questions? Yep. Oh, Pierre.
Oh yeah. When acquiring links, is it enough just to have page relevancy, or should the whole domain be relevant to the client site?
That was a big.
So many is there. I think page relevancy is the most important. I think it's much more important than domain relevancy. But I think I have to clarify that, because if that page is the only page on the website about that topic, then arguably that shows no signs of EEAT, because it's just a page on that's out of context. So the context comes in with the other content, the other internal links on that site, and how they interact with that page. If that page is almost orphaned, then I think that the page itself won't carry much weight in that context. So yes, page content is vitally important, but I think that if it's completely out of context with the rest of the website, the value of that may drop quite quickly. You could boost that up, but the best way to boost that up is getting other links to the page that's, contextually relevant links to that page. So if all of a sudden the BBC comes out with SEO is the best thing since sliced bread, and it's the first time they've ever talked about SEO, then basically as an industry, we just all link to that page and give that page some contextual authority.
So it's fine if a website has multiple topics?
No, if I was designing a website, I would try not to have multiple topics myself, because I think that to spread yourself too thin, you just become a very thin, unauthoritative content. So I would be trying to have a themed website if I was selling links, which I'm not. Yeah. You can have mine for free. Already, I love you. So yeah, so is that answering your question as best as I can? Yeah.
Anyone would like to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, I would also still look at, outside of relevancy, the value, search volume or something, the traffic volume that it's getting, or traffic value that the page has, because it could be highly relevant, but if nobody's looking at it at all, I don't know how valuable that's going to be, right?
Good. I think we had one last question. Of time for was that one more question? Last one?
Oh, sorry. Oh.
No. Make a run.
Because I said you sells.
I've been sort of using Haro for a few months, and I'm finding that I'm not getting many UK queries that are kind of relevant to my industry. So I just wondered if there were any alternative services we could sign up to that we could get some more relevant queries.
Pressblog's great for UK.
Pressblog, brilliant.
Yeah, response source.
It's gonna tie.
The quote is US. It's a bit US. Yeah.
I know Haro just relaunched as Hero.
Yeah, that's also I think a bit US, but you definitely Pressblog's response source, journaling. In it.
I was going to say on Twitter or X. I'm so confused what you call it now. Just hashtag journal request and put what you're looking for.
I think just reach out, collect all your hashtags on hashtag journal request. on X. That's a good one. Or you can use if this then that. So you give it, if anyone tweets hashtag journal request, then put it all in my spreadsheet. It's called if this then that. It's really good. Spams you, but it's really good. Any other tools for UK? Two different press books, journaling. Yeah. Oh, depend what industry, but media for travel, media for home, isn't it called? With 4 as a number, home for media, travel for media, all these. Yeah.
There's certainly, Majestic's just come out with an authorship thing that goes into there, so you can go and find out authors or that are interested in particular areas and things as well. There's something like sort of BuzzSumo is a sort of similar idea as well. Yeah. So tracking down the author, the journalist that is the expert on a subject, rather than waiting for them to come to you.
Yes. And that again goes back to proactive, so find that relevant journalist and reach out to them directly with introduction. Frill. So for any more questions, we'll have another round of questions, but let's move on to next topic, and that's all favorite AI. So link building and AI. So any thoughts? Favorite, not favorite, love it, hate it, using it?
I'll go first. So I think there is a place for it in terms of helping make our lives a lot easier, which is what we need as digital PRs. However, you need that human element to be able to sort of look and check at what is bringing out, essentially. I have used AI for a digital PR campaign. We used Midjourney to create images. We were doing a future makeup look, so looking at like what the makeup would look like in 2050, and we got insights from a futurologist and created these images, and it did really, really well. So in terms of having a place, things like that I can think work really well. ChatGPT, it's great as a starter for 10. It can be great to bring in some ideas to brainstorms, but I wouldn't be using it to draft content, especially after the March core update, where Google are really kind of like cracking down on spammy stuff. But I think it's great as like an ideation starter and making our lives, I would say, a lot easier.
I agree. I really like it for ideas and sometimes turning it on its head. So if I got an idea, ask ChatGPT to expand on it, so I can then see that fall and my fall and how it matches or doesn't match or what I can do. So definitely I agree with Olivia with starting with it, using it to help, not to do the job for you. Yeah. I do like rows for spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So it manages, it's fantastic, lifesaver. So anything I absolutely love it in link building as long as it saves your time and it makes it more efficient. It's not something to rely on, especially with the Midjourney pictures, 4 fingers and 5 elbows.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not there yet, but I think it's to be used. I personally think it's to be used and it's to be experimented with and make your life easier.
Yeah, it did take a long time, those images, disclaimer.
I think there's two points I've got really. I think AI can be particularly useful, I would imagine, if I was doing outreach in communicating with those people. So AI can very simply summarize that page that you're about to ask for a link from, and really actually feel like you have read that thing, rather than what you all do, which is say, I thought your product, Mr. Tick, because I've put it in my LinkedIn profile, Dixon Jones, I loved your page and I haven't even read my profile. That's why you should use a little emoji at the start of your LinkedIn profile, because you can tell every time you've been spammed by a link builder. But you can use AI as a prompt to better communicate and resonate, I would have thought. So I would thought that would be a good, reasonably safe way of using AI. But I think the bigger question that's coming down the pipe is much more about how SGE and Copilot and all these things are coming back out, and they're citing websites, and that, as far as I'm concerned, is a link in the search results. That is something being cited, and I think it's an important and valuable and long-term thing that we need to start paying attention to, because sooner or later, Google's 10 blue links is going to be Google's 1 blue story. And that story is going to have some links within it and some citations within it. And as users, our search habits are going to change, and we're just going to type things into, a chat box or whatever, and we're not going to bother going to Google in the same way that we do now, or at least a lot of people will. But the citations that are coming back really, really count. So we're going to be trying to start selling our link ideas and our thoughts. How do we get ourselves cited in the AI itself? And that's a much bigger question, which I haven't got the answer to yet.
Just said next year.
Sorry?
Next year.
Next year, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll have done it by then. I've locked it up.
Vince, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually going to say, Dixon said, like, I've used it for outreach and, like, summarizing a page. Like, that's, just using it as a crutch to do some of the things that take time. Like you said, Olivia, like...
Is that built into BuzzStream, boy?
Nah, not yet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we've honestly, like, talked internally about, like, how AI can speed up the link building process from ideation onward. And I mean, there's so many ways it can go, but I think it gets down to, like, how do you just cut away the time, right? Like, what can you do that, or what can AI do that normally it takes 50 people to do 100 hours? Like, how many numbers can they crunch? So, like, pulling data insights and yeah, from the ideation standpoint, to me, that's like the strongest place. But it can, if you train it the right way, it can do what you're saying and look at all the journalists talking about different things and find you the best journalists for, based on those summaries that it's producing. And normally that would take you hours to sit there and read an article and say, this journalist talking about this thing. And so, yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about that at BuzzStream, and I think there's a lot of different ways it can go, but yeah, it's
with what journalists are talking about. I think for maybe a couple of weeks you were able to ask ChatGPT to do a list of journalists in certain niche, and then it stopped. Can't give you that. Yeah. Oh, that was a good one to play with. All the websites were dead.
Right.
So yeah, they stopped that really quickly, but that was fun to play with. And brilliant. So touching on AI, I think, and not plugging BuzzStream, not paid for, but looking at tools. And any favorite tools when it comes to internal link building, links, when it comes to link building, digital PR, you would recommend?
Obviously, I'm going to say mine. Go and try and understand. But no, what I will say is there is a really interesting website called there'sanAIforthat.com, and there are shed loads of these things coming out. The tools, and it's written by one guy with AI, pretty much. But it's sending me traffic, and I'm happy to pay my £20 link, for it. But if you want to start playing with tools, I would go there and have a look at tools around whatever thing you want to do, link building, outreach, SEO content, whatever it may be. Because for the 5 that you might know in Brighton SEO, there's another 100 that are being built around the world, and they're some of them a lot of them are gonna die within a year because all they're really trying to do is no added value there. But there's so many of them out there, and it's a big wide world. So I would always start there because there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I feel like somebody when I was just starting to learn more about AI, somebody was like, I get excited about all these different tools. Oh, this one does this and this one. And they were basically like, look, they're all based on ChatGPT. They just do some fancy version of it. It's like, so to me, it's like learn ChatGPT and the world's your oyster. Like if you can get good at that, like that's where you're really going to have value, and you can.
But the tools that will have an added value layer are the ones the tools that will survive are the ones that have got their own value layer in the process. So so BuzzStream can be using all of this, the contact data or whatever that it's already got for it to work with that, or Salesforce can do this, or so if you've got a big value layer already, then the tool has a big advantage. But all the thin layer tools, I'd agree, it's just better to learn how to use ChatGPT.
Yeah. Outside of AI, any everyday tools that you're not ambassador for?
LinkedIn's a great way to communicate. I mean, LinkedIn is getting better and better all the time for communicating and outreach. I could do a lot.
Olivia,
Twitter or X. I think I could be a brand ambassador for them now. I love that tool. We also use BuzzTree.
Who doesn't, right?
And we enjoy it as a team because the valuable data and insights you get from outreach means that we can be quicker and more decisive in changing our approach, which I think we need to get better at in this sort of like age that we're living in, when we don't have the luxury of time. And just media database as a whole, I think if we can get better at getting that insights that you were talking about, Vince, then making our lives a lot easier and being more tactical and be quicker, it would make our lives so much easier. But Twitter, I love it.
Yeah, it's fine. This is like a boring answer, I guess. We're going like Twitter, LinkedIn. But yeah, and I think it's like the stuff that just makes your life easier. Like Grammarly, I use all the time. I know it's like not a link building tool, but like it makes my life easier. It makes me able to.
I agree. Typing is atrocious, and I'm sure it wasn't atrocious when I was, 19, 20. But now if anybody see me tweet anything, I can't do it without type or for.
Grammarly is great, and that's true. I do like mind map tools. I think it helps with mind map is a great one to expand on media lists, expand on topics to target, niches to look at. It's, I say I'm a bit boring, but Friday night, create a media list with mind map.
I love mind map. There's a free one called FreeMind as well that you can download, a desktop one, which is kind of good.
I think is it Ask the Public? That's a really good one.
Yes.
Ask the Public, especially for ideation stages. So I think you've only got a free number amount of asks, but you put in a topic and it gives you all the questions that people have been putting into search databases. So if it's anything like motorbikes, it can be anything like, okay, how do I service my motorbike? What type of motorbike do I do? So you can bring that into an ideation session to get ideas that are going to literally answer what they're asking.
I think, keyword research in general, just starting with that when it comes to any idea, and where should you start? That's where you start with, and almost goes the logical, and then using relevant tools to get to the point to really focus on the relevant keywords to target in your from idea to execution, really, for any outreach activity.
Yeah, I'd say the other thing is like don't rely too heavily on tools. Sometimes they can lead you astray. If I'm not like calling out specific tools, but there's some that say like your content is not 100% whenever accurate for SEO, and it's like you should be putting this keyword in 40 times, and then if you get too far down in the weeds with these tools, like your content's going to sound just like AI is spinning out, or you're going to sound like everybody else, which is not what you want. So be selective, kind of maybe pick your tools and stick with them. You don't be jumping around, and it's not great, at least for me, like you can get overloaded with like metrics and
the one is that don't sound like AI. That's a brilliant tool that can check your content whether you sound like a human or AI.
Oh yeah,
it's fantastic. That.
But I heard that those AI checking tools are not particularly robust at the moment. They're kind of
if you get a paid version, they're pretty good. But there's, again, it's a tool. It's not going to be. I think it's getting there. It's not going to be 100%, but it's good to see it for, what percentage you get, whether you sound like AI. And we've tested it. We've got content written by AI, content written by a copywriter, and it was pretty accurate. I think we did 10 pieces of content, same topic, written by AI and copywriter, and it really it spotted it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we just did a couple of journalist articles, just for fun. For users AI. For users brilliant. So we've got some time for more questions. If anyone's got any questions that we didn't ask just yet, any follow-up questions. We've got any questions? We must have some questions. Yeah. There we go.
Hi, sorry, this isn't about AI. This is going back to the paid links that we were talking about before. So obviously we all know that buying links is bad. Obviously, we know that industry-wide. What do you say so sometimes, basically in our agency, we've seen competitors sometimes who we feel quite strongly that they are buying links. And you can tell this when you delve into their backlink profile and see the trajectory of obviously the link acquisition and how steep it's been. And we see that they are, perhaps ranking more highly than a client. And then sometimes you'll get a client asking, okay, well, does that mean we should buy links then? Because it's clearly working for, XYZ competitor. What would you say is a good answer to that? Because obviously, typically we would always advise buying links is bad and explain why it's bad. But then the findings that they're seeing, if that seems to contradict what you're telling them, it's quite hard to convince someone that it is bad.
I think, of course, buying links is not sustainable. It's going to happen at some point. I think that's the it's difficult to explain, but of course, as you say, advice against anything, just don't buy links because you'll get caught. When you get caught, that's the question. I think it's I would always advise not to buy links, not to go into that. Also, you never buy the same quality links that you can earn organically. You won't get those links. I mean, you could in Huffington Post some months ago, but they caught them now. So it's the quality over the quantity, and it's the fact that it's not going to last. It's not sustainable. I mean, Dixon did talk about buying links, so you may have.
Oh no! I was really talking about paying for a directory listing. There's a whole different game. The proper answer really is, if John Muller was on the stage, he'd say, just share that list with me. And I think if you want to do the right, if you want to just be aggressive about it, and you probably should be if that's what your client's demanding, you should basically dob them in. But I wouldn't dob in the competitor. What I would do is take some time to work out the link network itself, and use one of the several good tools out there to do that. But because they don't really care about one website, they do care about a network that's selling links. So don't go and say, hey, my competitor's got all these links, because that means John's got to do work. If you go along and say, this seems to be a network of link resellers because here's some charts, then I think that you may find that your competitors' links lose their value a lot quicker.
We'll report them.
Report the link network, not your client. Because the thing is, your competitor, we've all found ourselves in dodgy link networks. There was a global websites.ws thing that just linked everybody. It just went through the web and just linked everybody and stuff. And I remember back in agency days when I was very young, finding Penguin days, we were suddenly finding all these link networks and thinking that these guys had been buying links. They hadn't. They'd just been spamming for no good reason, linking to absolutely everyone, causing Russian chaos, and I God knows what they're doing. But trying to then blame my competitor would have been a mistake. I think, look to the network, not the quick win.
Catch the big fish.
Yeah. It's a risk. I mean, it's a risk assessment, I think. Like, if that's really the only way that you think you differ from the competitors is these links, and you're damn sure that these links that they've bought are the reason that they're ranking, like, how much value does that have, like, to you and your business if Google's going to just come in and take them all away? Like, are you willing to spend the whatever it is, 10K or something for all these links just to get these keywords ranking if that risk is there that Google, because all, like you said, Dixon, like, all it takes is for John to find one of these link networks, and they don't penalize the site, but they devalue the links. So, I mean, I would challenge, like, whenever people talk about that, I always challenge them to look at, like, is it really these links, these particular links that they're buying that are really driving the needle for the ranking, or is it like one or two of these high value links that they've gotten? Is it only a couple? Because if you're seeing these sites, and I'm happy to, like, follow up with me, send me the sites. I usually look anytime anyone offers me a guest post, like, here, check out my list of guest post sites where you can buy. I say, sure, send the spreadsheet. So I just know, okay, these are all spreads that bad bets, right? Like, right? Like, I'm curious just to see, like, because I used to fall separate to that. I feel like when I first started, it was just like, oh, here's a great site, it's a great DA, and you didn't know any better. And then as you get, more in the game, you're like, wait a minute, these are all just garbage. So, it's worth doing the research, I think, like this and stuff.
Suppose another point you could flip it on its head is potentially like reporting on more reporting on the links that you got from digital PR or outreach in general. So looking beyond like the follow links, like looking at social listening data and how that has impacted your client or your business to kind of go away from the paid links.
Shine the spotlight on it.
Yeah, and could just flip it on its head. Hard when it's quick and easy to buy a link and you see a massive impact, but that could potentially be a strategy for long term. You start building the blocks now with them.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah, we've got one more question at the front. 1, 2, 3, third row.
So we've talked about digital PR for link acquisition, directories, and paid links, which you're saying is not good. I understand. Are there any other sort of niche ways of getting links or creating links that, although you wouldn't go into them wholesale, are worth a consideration in a safe way?
I'll come up with 2. So two that come to mind. If you can be an authority and you can create a badge, then that's great. You can then syndicate your badge over to other people that then put their trust, their trust in you, and that's great, because that badge, to verify it, has a nice little link back to your website. With a little bit of clever JavaScript, you can also vary that anchor text as well. So that's kind of sneaky, but also potentially valuable. And also, we've not really talked about things like YouTube and stuff, but I think that we underestimate the value of things like YouTube and links after a video or in a video, because they can't easily be indexed by Ahrefs or Majestic or whatever. We don't see them quite so often, and but it's quite clear that search engines can understand. I spend quite a lot of time understanding what's the content of that video. Obviously, if that video has metadata to help them, they're great, but links and videos can still be of value, I think. Maybe not from a direct ranking point of view, but I think that signal is probably a value, certainly for traffic anyway.
I think what we haven't touched on as well is image link building. So supplying images to sites and journalists. So as simple as taking images relevant to your brand or client, from glasses on a table to, if it's healthcare, pills thrown on a table, or just relevant topic. And it's really easy to set up image bank on Flickr, for example, which journalists use a lot. I don't think they're fans of paid for databases anymore with images. So setting up Flickr, putting images there with, of course, no to link back to your site, and offering that to journalists, getting, it gets relevant keywords, of course, on Flickr, relevant hashtags, and that works magic. We had a situation where our client took a picture of, it's very, very random, but it was on holiday and watching sharks, and shark just jumped out of the water, and it was the mouth, the teeth, everything. That image has been shared about 1,000 times, and it gets linked every time. And if it doesn't, follow up and ask for link, because it's your image. So image link building, it just works wonders. It's amazing. I mean, that's one of my favorite kind of outside digital PR content tactics, is definitely that.
So you're saying syndicate that, or are you saying reach out to journalists and say, will this be interesting for a piece?
Yeah, so you can reach out to journalists to let them know, but then also journalists do use Flickr, so they will spot your images on Flickr, because they're Flickr. So of course, following Flickr's advice, so any relevant hashtags for that topic, to get that picture seen as soon as possible. It may take a month, it may take 3 months, but we do see that these images do get spotted, because journalists do flick through what they need when it comes to the topics and the images, and then you can see the images. It's a long-term kind of tactic, but it's also a very cheap tactic. It works really well.
Can I add one as well? Because I think it's a really obvious one that people just miss. Most of the tools will have a thing like Click Hunter is what you call it, Majestic. I think there was Link Gap at Ahrefs and stuff, which analyze the competition. So you have a look at all the competition, and if you've got 10 competitors in the list and yourselves, then all those websites where 9 websites are linking to, a site is linking to all 9 of the others and not you, obviously that's just go along and just do it, but that always goes down to sort of 4 or 5. If 4 or 5 of your competitors are all getting links from this website over here, then that means 2 things. 1, it's not doing them any harm, and 2, if there's more than 2 or 3 competitors that are getting those links, it means it's a market for you as well. So forget link building, it's a market for you. So use those tools to find competitors' overlaps.
I'll add 2 quick points too. Don't know how big your brand is. This usually works well with bigger brands, but unlinked mentions, somebody mentions you, haven't linked to it, obviously following up there. And then I'm a big proponent of the passive link approach, where you're generating content that has high link intent. So, I mean, the obvious example of this is like a statistics post where a journal is going to reach out to this, but I think that expands way more than people think. And, definitional queries and tools and calculators, just things that are valuable, or things that are typically like a researcher is going to search for this, like types of XYZ, that those are all super valuable. And once you get to, I don't know, 65, 70 DR, you start to naturally rank for these queries without needing links, right? And then eventually you can just start to really focus in on your content marketing strategy, just being, I'm going to create great content, it's going to get me links, right? That's the dream, but you got to start with those kind of high link intent lines.
And you took my point.
Brilliant. So I think we finish at this point. We've run over a bit, so I'm not going to take any more of your time because the bar's definitely open downstairs. Time for that drink. Thank you so much to all panelists for joining today. It's been fantastic to have you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of the Internet Marketing Podcast, produced by the team behind Brighton SEO, the world's largest specialist digital marketing conference covering SEO, PPC, paid social, web analytics and content marketing. If you want to find out more about us and the show, you can check out the website, internetmarketingpodcast.org. And if you've not already subscribed to the show, you should hit that subscribe button. And can I ask a favour, if you are subscribed and you're enjoying the show, can you leave us a review wherever you're watching or listening to the show? And if you want to get in touch, become a guest on the show, or just generally feedback about what we're doing, you can always email me. That's kelvin@brightonseo.com. So KELVIN@brightonseo.com. Or of course you can contact me on social media, so at LinkedIn or Twitter. My usernames are Kelvin Newman. See you soon.